the essence of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent.
How many men have children and the children never meet their father? See, you created a void in that child because you are a part of that child.
Black power! Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Are you feeling fatigued and can barely make it through the day without some type of caffeine?
Are you on a journey of healing your body but need a little help?
Then alkaline water is what you really need.
Alkaline water has many benefits. Alkaline water can help restore pH balance in the body. Consuming beverages such as soda and coffee can make your body acidic.
Did you know that too much acid in your body has been linked to an internet, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, autoimmune disease, chronic pain, and other chronic conditions like gout and arthritis?
Those who use alkaline water have reported increased energy levels, clearer skin, reduction in inflammation, better digestion, and many other health benefits. I've used alkaline water for years, and it's been instrumental in sustaining my health when I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis.
Are you ready to take responsibility for your body's health?
If the answer is yes, then our alkaline water is just what you need. Bring your own bottles. It's only $3 for each gallon. To place an order or for more information, you can reach us at 773-846-3091. Thank you in advance for your support.
Hi, my name is Sister Ebony Stevenson. I am your announcer for today. Welcome to the T.O.M.A Nation's weekly Sunday worship service from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. every Sunday at 616 East 71st Street here in Chicago, Illinois, and also live on Facebook. If you would like more information, you can reach us at www.facebook.com/TOMANation2 or give us a call at 773-952-8302. Now I am going to recite our opening. In the name of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent, the one who directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years, and the one who made time the seed of the universe, known among the ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aton, among the Hebrews as Ansar, Yahweh, and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims and Islamic world as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribes of West Africa as Odumare, Eshu, and many other Orisha names. I bear witness that all of these names refer to the same one, Almighty Spirit, and it is to that essence which I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we, the descendants of those black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the Lost 13 tribe, born in North America and are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the earth flows through our veins. I greet you in the ancient but holy words of peace, Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Habaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. Now I am going to recite the 13 points of what we believe and know. Number 1. We believe and know that we are not to repeat the mistakes of the past prophets and messengers of the Almighty Creator of the heavens and earth. Number 2. We believe and know that we can only establish an economic base through the application of the knowledge of self and the incorporation of the ideologies of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Mahatma Gandhi, and Ben Ami. Number 3. We believe and know that the prophets and messengers of the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, and the Kemetic Holy Books were all black. Number 4, we believe and know that Jesus Christ of 2,000 years was and is a black man. Number 5, we believe and know that the knowledge of the Almighty Creator goes beyond books written by the prophets and messengers of the Almighty Creator. Number 6, we believe and know that in order to promote and coordinate unity, we must first recognize and accept the uniqueness of being able to worship our Creator, regardless of religious denomination, name, title, ritual, particular dress, or holy book, as long as it recognizes the Almighty Creator of the heavens, earth, and the universe as supreme. Number 7, we believe and know that it is impossible to tell the truth without exposing the wicked governments of the world. Number 8, we believe and know that the United States government, in collaboration with other European nations, have a denial objective to exterminate dark-skinned people of color off the earth through the act of genocide. Number 9, we believe and know that some of the most effective methods that are being used today are AIDS, birth control, alcohol and drug abuse, vaccinations, gang and domestic violence, systematic elimination of trauma centers, the public school system, and public aid within the black communities of America and the world. Number 10, we believe and know that the last trick that Satan is playing on us is the dividing of us by our religious differences, religious gangbanging. Number 11, we believe and know that the conflict between the various religions are comparable to the conflict between various street gangs within the inner cities of America. Number 12, we believe and know that the war on drugs and gangs is a diabolical plot to disarm the black community of weapons, break up the black family, withdraw our constitutional rights, also kill and incarcerate young black males under the undercover code name April 2029. And number 13, we believe and know that every letter, shape, sound, and numerical value contains esoteric information that completely transcends the specific contextual meaning of the word. Our purpose: to bring about the growth of a righteous community in accordance with the laws of the Creator of the universe, under the leadership and guidance of Brother Minister Rahim Chesed Aton, to provide solutions to the social and economic ills that plague the communities of urban America. Our goal: to re-educate and retrain youth and young adults to develop positive moral values as an alternative to delinquent behaviors, because you can't rebuild a community and not rebuild the minds of the residents of the community to meet the responsibilities of maintaining the community's image. Our mission: to enhance the economic development of our communities by establishing businesses, real and personal properties, thereby creating jobs and/or entrepreneurship training programs that will reverse the concept of leaving the community to buying back the community. Our motto: let your light so shine before men that they shall see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Now we're going to recite our salute to the red, black, and green flag. Everyone put your right fist in the air and repeat after me. Here's to this flag of mine, the red, black, and green. Hopes in its future bright, Africa has seen. Here's to the red of it, great nations shall know of it. In time to come, red blood shall flow of it. Historians shall write of it, this flag of mine. Here's to the black of it, 400 million's back of it, whose destiny depends on it. The red, black, and green of it, oh flag of mine. Here's to the green of it, young men and women shall dream of it, face shots and shells for it, maidens shall sing of it, waving so high. Here's to the whole of it, colors bright and pole of it, pleased is my soul with it, regardless of what is told of it. Thanks to God for giving it, this great flag of mine. Please keep your right fist raised high in the air as we sing our Black National Anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Black power, black power, black power. Black power is the power to define, develop, and defend that which is in the best interest of Black people.
Peace, everyone. I am your announcer, Sister Ebony Stevenson. Welcome to the T.O.M.A Nation's weekly Sunday Warship service. That's Warship, WARSHIP. We are an all-inclusive, Black conscious spiritual movement right here in Chicago, Illinois. Come and be fed by God's messengers. You can still join us for our live broadcast today right here at 616 East 71st Street, located in the Grand Crossing community of Chicago, Illinois. We have a wonderful message today coming from our ministers. Please feel free while you are tuning in to this video to share it, send it to your friends and family. And also, we will talk later at the end of the broadcast about how you can support the T.O.M.A Nation. Our title of our lecture today is Sign of the Times, and I'm going to welcome our youth minister, Minister Taharka J. Shakur. Thank you.
In the essence of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent, the one that exists within us, the one who directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years, and the one who made time, the seed of the universe, known among the ancient Kemites as Amun-Ra and Aton, among the Hebrews as An-Sof Yahweh and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord God and Jehovah, among the Muslim and Islamic world as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribes of West Africa as Odumari and as Shu. I've been witness that all of these names and many more refers to the same one, Almighty Creator, and it is to that essence who I give reverence and submit. I boldly proclaim that we, the descendants of the Black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, the lost 13th tribe, born here in North America and of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim the blood of all nations flow through our veins, and I greet you in the ancient holy words of peace and that of our ancestors in Hotep. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Habaragani. Alafia. And Ashe. And Black Power. Black Power. Black Power. As it was already said, Black Power is the power to define, develop, and defend that which is in the best interest of Black people. I am again the youth minister of the T.O.M.A Nation, aka the Temple of Mercy Association, Minister Taharka J. Shakur, founded by our leader and teacher and guide, Minister Rahim Chesed Aton, is co-founded by Minister Omari Jahi Aton, and our first lady is Sister Makisha Aisha Aton. Did I say Makisha? Makida. I mixed her first and middle name. But the true founder is the Almighty Creator himself, who has put it on our spirits and on us to deliver the messages that we do deliver, I would like to welcome everyone here in the temple to this message, as well as those out in Facebook land and on YouTube. We have a powerful message today, but I am not the main lecturer for today. I am just the introducer for today. And since it is the beginning of the month, you know, we have prescribed readings that we have for the Temple of Mercy Association. And since it is now October, we transition to study a little bit about a very powerful prophet amongst our midst who left a very powerful movement for us to see as a blueprint, or as some people say, a black print to move forward. It is none other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And our prescribed reading for this month is Message to the Black Man. And it is a message to the black man in America. And he had another book that is not a prescribed reading, but it ties into the lecture for today a little bit more strongly than even Message to the Black Man, but Fall of America. And as we're seeing the time that we are in, and the minister has a very powerful lecture put together with some of those signs and what they are that we're seeing happening at this time. But one of the things that I've seen, and when we look at some of the past books that have been given to us, it talks about a high level of death all around us. And ever since last Saturday, when we were at our convention, it has seemed that even amongst the brotherhood of Masons that I'm a part of, continual messages of death. We can find it all around us, from family members to those close to us, to friends, associates. It seemed like more and more people at this time are not just dying regular deaths of getting old, but tragedy is striking, murder, gun violence, that even though we know in Chicago it is at a high, but then we look at some of the natural disasters that are also happening. I'm not going to go too far in detail in that, but I want to just read something quickly about the judgment that we are also going through. And if we do not understand that America is being judged, that the European world are being judged, and we know that this judgment was inevitable, we can talk about how we knew there was a time instituted for their rule. And we know their time is coming to an end. Elijah Muhammad breaks it down early in the book Message to the Black Man, when he talks about how Moses was 2,000 years from the creation of the so-called Caucasian race, and we are 4,000 years prior from that time. And knowing that they were giving a divine rule to rule over us, that their time has came to an end, and certain things that we will see happening in the world when their time comes to an end. Now, I want to talk about some of the physical things, as the minister will talk about some of the natural things. One of the physicals we seen, one of their great patriarchs has recently passed away. And I say one of their great patriarchs. She has nothing to do with us. Well, nothing positive to do with us, because she has a lot on the negative connotation to do with Black America. Now, when we look at those things and what has happened since her death, we have seen a trickling of the European world's economy. They are now in a recession. They have not been in a recession for a very long time, but we are now seeing them, the European world, being in a recession, where their stocks are constantly crashing. The value of their pound is constantly crashing. But what set that into motion was actually them losing their queen. And when we see that and go into that, we can see, and it's so funny, I was looking at a lecture that I did 2 years ago, and I correlated something that many of us pay no attention to. When it seems like Black America is thriving, the rest of the world starts to be on a decline. So one of my examples I gave then, and I still talk about it because it is still reminiscing even today. When the Great Depression happened in America, we were not in this depression. If you look at Black America at that time, we were the most wealthiest people in the world. It was hard to find a wealthier group of people in the world besides us. But at the exact same time, the European market was crashing. white America was crashing, and they went through one of their worst economic time periods ever. Then they bombed Black America in multiple different places, not just Wall Street. We lost all of our economic powers at that time. And then we were able to reconstruct in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. But when integration happened and that forced integration happened, we end up losing all of it. Now we have no real traces of it, where for our children to look down the streets and see what Black businesses and empires that we used to have. And so now when we look today and try to look out and seeing the signs that we should be looking for to be willing to escape what is going to happen. So when we look at what's going on, is the entire world going to be destroyed? See, when we look at what happened with Moses, even what happened with Noah, we in T.O.M.A Nation know it wasn't the whole world that was flooded with Noah's Ark. It was a portion of the land that was flooded. And we look at that time, I can see how the people in that time period can think it was the whole world, because that was their whole world. Noah wouldn't have known about people living hundreds of miles away from him. He would have only known basically about the people in his country and the neighboring countries. So if you're seeing all that get wiped out, then you think that's the whole world. Then we even think about how back in that time, they thought it was only certain countries that existed and that the world wasn't round and all of these different ideals. So for them, the world ending could have been that little time period or section of the world that they were in. So now when we look at what the Quran says or what the Bible says, so does Babylon is fallen. So then when we look out into the world and see what will be Babylon, what will be baby London, we'll see America. And then we'll see that the crimes that America has caused and admitted and committed amongst Black people, the people who have the closest connection to the Creator, and how their time to rule us has been over, and how they have deceived us and continually to deceive us to where it is that we can move forward, the judgment that is inevitable to come to them. See, as my past two lectures, I have spoken about the causes of our problem, which is our sympathy. And even today, we can see a reason why this world is not being destroyed, why America is being saved the same way when you can look at some European countries or some Arab countries that are protected because they have Black people set up in very important parts. It is the reason why Ukraine didn't let the Black people leave. I'll go into that for a quick second, because they knew that if the Black people were still there, whatever Russia tried to do, it wouldn't fully work if they tried to bomb it, because God or the Creator or whatever forces we want to say will not let the Black people over there suffer the crimes of the people who they are oppressed by. So now we look at America. We look at Hurricane Ian, which just struck Florida and is still having the remnants of its storm still affecting that area. We talk about the Caribbean and a lot of the Caribbean getting hit by this same hurricane. But what about all these other natural disasters? But it just seems that for some reason, they're not as extreme as they could be. See, because before the hurricane hit land, it went from a category 5 to a category 4. Because the category 5 would have wiped out a lot of Florida if it stayed at a category 5 before touching landfall. But guess who didn't leave? Guess who didn't evacuate the area at the time? Guess who was stuck there? Because you know they evacuated most of their people. But the same thing we've seen when any natural disaster happens, they keep our people there. Because there's something that this government knows that we are still yet to understand. That for their world to fall, we have to step aside. See, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about it when he's saying, I'm not telling you this entire world will be destroyed. Even in his book, Fall of America, he says the fall of America, which means for us to be saved, we have to separate ourselves from what? America. We teach come out of her in this temple because we know we have to come out of not just her mindset, but also out of her land. See, we can't see ourselves building anything truly that will benefit all of our people to the level that it needs to benefit our people if we find our saving or our solution bounded in their system. From having an economic standpoint to having a community standpoint, let's look at it for a second and what we have been given from them. Right now, we're dealing with grants, large amounts of grants coming into the Black community. But what did we, as a Black people, give up to get these grants? Our intellectual properties. Have we not learned from the past? To about 20 years ago, they did the exact same thing. There was an influx of grants in the Black community, more specifically the Black church. And what happened with the Black church? The Black church went from being about uplifting the community it was in. Now, most of the Black churches in those communities have no idea who are the people inside of that community. Now, let's look at what these grants are doing. Many of these grants are doing the exact same thing that it did them. They got the churches, now they're going for the community organizations to be like, hey, I'm going to give you this money. This is how your program is going to look. And we're not going to see those resources actually being allocated to our community. The same way the church didn't allocate their resources to our community, we're going to see the community organizations do the same thing. I just was having a conversation with one of our brothers, Brother McIntyre, because he made a wonderful point that is something that I used to talk about all the time. We look at Jesus the wrong way. We don't truly follow Jesus. Jesus was a radical. A lot of Christians don't want to accept it. He was one of the most radical revolutionaries that have ever existed on planet Earth. And he was definitely a gangster when we look at what the things that he did. And one of the most important things, he had a street ministry. He was in the street. He was amongst the people, not in these walls, not held up, having a service every Sunday to get the people. No, he was going to the people. And that's something that Brother McIntyre talked about. He said, man, ever since I was inspired, because he cannot take away what Franklin inspired amongst international to be out in the streets when no Masons wanted to go out. The minister took it upon himself to go out into the street as Masons. And he got the flack for it back then. But then the Supreme President at the time was like, no, y'all need to get in line with what he's doing, because he's doing the real work that we're supposed to be doing. Fast forward to where we are now with Brother McIntyre hitting the streets continuously. Even though he's a pastor of a church, he spends more time in the streets than in his church. And see, that is how we can save ourselves. We will not be saved from staying inside of these buildings. We will not be saved from trying to call on the power that's within us. We will be saved by saving our people, by going to them and telling them how can they be saved, by bringing the resources and the knowledge that they need to come out of her. Many of us have been in the temple since its inception. Some of us 10, 15 years. Me, myself, 3 or 4. I think it's 4 now. We're in 2022, 2000. For 4 years. And we know this message. I literally listen to some of my past lectures and I say, I'm saying the same thing I was saying when I first started lecturing. So we know what it is. We need to get back into the spirit of what it is that we used to do. We need to start our pop-up ministries back. We need to be back in vacant lots in different communities, having our edutainment program so we can continue to give that message to the people. Because Facebook is one way, but I am sure that we cannot ignore the message that was given to us by Gil Scott Heron that the revolution will not be televised. And if we do not see technology and Facebook and Instagram and social media as television, then you're telling lies to your vision. Because that sounds like television to me. So again, it won't be live on such and such channel for you to see what's actually happened. The work will happen when no cameras are on. The true message will even be delivered when no camera is on, because there's certain things that they won't let us say. When I say they, we know who controls Facebook. We just talk about the person who controls Facebook. I swear there have been community so-called standards that some of my posts went against that made no sense. And he owns Instagram. So we talk about the two major shooting. They own Google. When you go deeper into it, the government's own Google, so they mean they own YouTube. So all the stuff that we're putting out there, so learn what I learned from the COINTELPRO document. And when I say learn what I learned from it, it told us that they're going to give us all of our mainstream leaders. That no mainstream leader will come from amongst the people. So that technically means if you see them on CNN, if you see them on Fox, if you're constantly seeing them on YouTube, if they have millions and millions of views, it is not because millions and millions of black people are watching them. It is because they want you to see that person as your leader. They want to put that. So, because I can think about it, it's crazy. When I first joined the T.O.M.A Nation and I had control of our live video, the first 2 live videos that I had control over had over 4,000 people watching them. We can't get more than 10 people to watch them at one time no more. But we had over 4,000 views back then because they was like, what they talking about, we can't let it be shared. There's been certain lectures that we've put out there that have just disappeared. It seems like the blacker men the minister get, the quieter they make us be. There's been times where the audio is completely distorted through the entire video. And we originally thought it was a camera problem, but I ended up going to an older video that it wasn't the camera's problem because we didn't have 2 cameras at the time. This is when we was on Zoom, and all the noise that was, the interference that the live video was happening on Facebook that we didn't have, but they don't want this to be televised. So again, my more message for me, one of the signs is that we have to come out of her. See, and if we do not see the power of separating ourselves, I understand that we have gained a certain sense of comfort from these technologies, that we have gained a certain sense of accessibility that they offer us. The connectivity that we have to the rest of the world because of these devices is powerful. But what if I was to tell you that we let these go, something else turns on? The powers that have been hidden inside of us for so long are able to come out. Once we separate ourselves, get back into a more natural diet, not being surrounded by the gases of the airs that is constantly polluted, not consistently drinking the water that is constantly polluted, as the minister tells us, because we know all our food is poison. Getting away from those poisonous foods. There's places that we can go that has not been touched by the white man, that we could go live, and there will be fruits and vegetables grown there. But the more and more we separate ourselves from them, we connect ourselves back with the true creator that's inside of us. We then get to call and hear and be having a clear connection, the same connection that Jesus talked about having with the creator. And I love how the Christian world does it, but Jesus never really said anything except for that we were all the children of God. He didn't make himself special. The people made him seem special. But he was trying to tell us that we were joint heirs of the throne, that we all have this chance to be connected to the creator, that we didn't need no intercessors, no in-between man to have that connection, that we can have it because it's already within us. So when we see that and we understand that message and we see what's going on in the world, see, the Quran and the Bible tells us that there are 2 types of signs, a warning and a message. But they come in the same way. So what could be a warning to the wicked is a message for the righteous. So as we're seeing the natural disasters build, as we're seeing certain economies dropping, it is a message to us that it's time. It is a warning for them that it's time. What time is it for us? It is time for us to understand the righteous level that we should now be conducting ourselves from. It is showing us that it is now time to step up and accept the roles that we have been given at this time in the world. It is a message to them and the warning to them that if they don't let their people go, they will suffer even greater. But we know that it's inevitable, the inevitable end of this world is coming. The world as we know it is coming to an end. Many of us won't be prepared for it. Many of us won't even be in the mental headspace for what's to come. See, they can show us different ways they think the world is going to end. They can show us different post-apocalyptic shows and when technology dies or zombie apocalypse after zombie apocalypse. But that is not how the world will end. See, they are trying to say, because if you look at any of those shows, black people ain't really there. It's specks of us in those shows. You don't really get to see what happens. What's these shows where they go off to space and have intergalactic travel. Again, you don't really see us there. It's specks of us. See, because that is what they're trying to project onto us. See, when we went through slavery, one of the major things that they put in our heads is that we need them. I seen some Facebook video of some racist white guy saying y'all still our slaves. Y'all can't do nothing without us. I don't want what y'all think. How can y'all think that y'all can do anything without us? And I was like, are there still a number of white people who have this thought pattern? Have they forgotten that it was our ancestors that built America? Have they forgotten that their scholars went to our schools back in the day to get this information from us? That they used to live amongst their animals and their ancestors were at war with each other forever, never knew anything about what it meant to stand upright truly, to have any type of morals. So how can they tell us, who are the descendants of the same people who taught them, that we can't do it? How have we accepted that we can't do it? Have we not been able, and I was going into this a little bit when I was thinking about, it's the reason why they know their family trees and we don't. It's the reason why they can tell you about their great-great-great-grandfather who did this and was a part of this, but we can't. See, I'm happy to know that I'm a descendant of Sonny Liston. You know, that was my great-grandfather's younger brother. That's something that I can hold on to because other people know what Sonny Liston did and who he was, and don't got to go into the negative side of it because people know that side as well about Sonny Liston. But when we, yeah, I come from that family lineage. But when we think about the power of knowing where we come from and how they've stolen that away from us, they removed our elders from our households. And if you don't think they removed our elders from our households, let's look at what happened with the crash of the market and how they forced the market to crash so then they can go to these old people and be like, hey, the taxes are this high, but we can buy the house from you and we can move you here and you can go live here. How many of us actually want to go to these senior citizen buildings? How many times do our elders there now get visits from their family? It seems like once they have put it in that box, they're just there. See, and they knew that. They knew that without the elder being in the household. See, it was something that was said at the funeral that I attended yesterday. And it touched me in a different way. When Sister Cole was talking to her other aunties and was like, we've lost our elder up here. Our elder is gone. The children need y'all because y'all are still our elder. How many of us actually still have our elders amongst us that can guide us, that can tell us about the family? I would have never known about Sonny Liston if I didn't meet my great aunt who's in her 80s. You know, I would have never known some of the stories and the personal things about him or my family tree or how things happen in my family. I end up finding out that there's a potentiality that my niece is also my cousin, right? But that's stuff that we don't know how many of us might be unacknowledgedly having incest amongst our families because we don't know our family. The last time I checked, a lot of our families migrated up here from the South along a few generations back, and many of them had like 20, 30 children who then had children. Many of us might look up and we might all be related to one person, one family that came from the South. See, but that's the disconnect that we now have. See, and it told us that we will be in this state of confusion and not know our true home. See, not knowing our true home, what does that really mean? See, to me, I know this entire earth is our home. I don't care on what part of it I'm standing on. It is our home. We forgot that. See, it's not trying to trace back what African tribe we come from, because some of us might look back there and not find one, because some of us are not descendants from a Pacific African tribe. See, because we were the first people everywhere. So you might go look back and you might have ancestors in Europe, but they not white. And you're going to be like, wait a second, I come from Europe? How do I come from Europe, but ain't no white blood in me? Because we are the originals everywhere. If black people were the first people on earth and the rest of them have only been here for 6,000 years, you go back past 6,000 years, you might actually find some real truth. I remember a conversation that I was having with this sister. And I closed with this because it was a while ago now. It was at the Renaissance Festival. She got some information for us for a second, and she walked away, and she just kept on staring at me, the minister, Brother Khalil, and Miss Brady, as we were getting some food. And I'm wondering why this lady looking at us, and she comes over and she said, I see that flag on your shoulder. Can you tell me about that flag and what it means? I quickly go into it. I say, yeah, the red is for the blood that our people have sacrificed. The black is for our skin. The green is for the land. She said, wait a second. What do you mean the black is for our skin? She say, I'm not black. The lady was darker than me. And she say, I'm not black. I'm such and such, such and such, such and such. I say, you go back far enough, you're going to find out you black. She said, I don't got to go back that far. My grandma told me this, and this. Again, how many of us are going to go past our grandmothers? How many of us are going to actually go and dig into the trueness? Because if you're only going to your grandmother, you don't know what we build in the 20s. If you're only going to your grandmother, you won't know the cities that we had in the early 1600s. If you don't go past your grandmother, you're not going to know what black people were doing in the 1200s. If you don't go back far enough, you won't know what we've been doing this entire time we've been on this planet. See, it is time for us to acknowledge that it's not taking nothing away from our direct ancestors, from your mother's 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 mother. I'm not taking that away. But understand that there's something greater and that there's a greater bond that we can hold on to and attach ourselves to that gives us a universal lineage. I leave you as I greeted you, but to introduce to you no, you move out the way. There we go. To bring you the message that I told you of some of the other signs of the time and what we need to do in these times to acknowledge and connect back to a more powerful and biblical cord that connects us to the eternity that we come from. But I bring to you now our leader and teacher and guide, the founder of this great movement, the T.O.M.A Nation, Minister Rahim Chesed Aton. I'll make sure to say that next time.
Original salute. Black power. Original salute. Black power. Original salute. Black power. As you were.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. In the essence of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent, the one who directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years, the one who made time, the seat of the universe. Known among the ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aton, among the Hebrews as Ansaf, Yahweh, Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribe as Olodumare, Obatala, and many other Orisha gods. I bear witness that all of those names refer to the same one, Almighty God. And it is to him whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we are the children of those black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade. And we are that lost 13 tribe born here in North America, and that we are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the world flow through our veins. I greet you all in the ancient but yet holy words of peace in the many different languages of our fathers, of Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Barakani, Alafia, Ashe. All right. All greetings and salutations of peace in the many different names of our fathers, ancestors. Greet you in peace. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the T.O.M.A Nation, aka Temple of Mercy Association, where you've heard from our youth minister, Minister Taharka, J. Shakur. Would you all give him a hand for that beautiful opening? I have a red cup back there. If somebody can go get that in the kitchen and pour this in there. I don't want to advertise for the company another something, you know. Yeah, y'all know what I mean. So I am Brother Minister Rahim Chesed Aton, founder of this great movement, along with co-founder Brother Minister Omari Jahi Aton, and the First Lady of T.O.M.A Nation, Sister Makita Aisha Aton. I want to continue in the lecture started off by Brother T, and it's called Sign of the Times. And a sign, usually when you're driving, that sign has some information on it, telling you some instructions, where to go, how far you might be from getting to where you're going, where you are now, or maybe a sign warning you, don't touch the fence. You know, it's a sign though. And we have signs, but I want us to look at it a little bit deeper. We know that we are in a time called the end time, but it didn't just start. It started a long time ago. And people say, well, I thought it was the end. No, we're in the midst of the end time, where it will conclude, but it have not concluded, but we are in the midst of the time of the end of this dispensation of things. The planet will be here, but we know that the rulers of this world, that their time is marked, and that their time has come for their rule to be over. They've been holding on for a long, long time. They've even had a chance to repent, but they would not. As a matter of fact, instead of repenting, they've gotten worse. They decided that they wanted to be God beside God. They decided that they would be the ones who would take responsibility for what we should eat. That they should take responsibility of how we should think. They should take responsibility on how we should live. And instead of being comfortable with what the Creator who created all of this had already given us, yet they did not want to give that credit to the one that even created them. They decided to go into competition and say, oh, I can make seeds. I can make plants, trees. Oh, I can make humans. I can make animals. I can make anything that whatever this higher power was before I got here, I can do it too. Matter of fact, I believe that I can do it better. Wasn't giving all praises due to that higher power, but more so saying, look at what I can do. I'm just as great as you are. And so, because this Caucasian has walked up the Tower of Babel and went to seek a place next to the God that created all of these things. And because of his nature, he couldn't settle for just seeking a place, but he sought to replace. And that's his nature, is to replace you, not to work with you, not to get along with you, but to replace you. So there are some signs that we've been seeing, but they look like the same signs of the past, but again, breaking all records of calamities before. I said breaking all records of calamities before. There was an earthquake in Mexico. If you heard about it, raise your hand. And the aftershock was just equal to the actual earthquake. Shaking entire buildings, cracks in the ground, bridges collapsing, people collapsing, and right behind it, a tsunami. There was massive flooding in China. Whole acres of crops and stuff, dead, gone, covered up. Whole buildings collapsing in China. In Turkey, same thing. In the Philippines, y'all heard about it. Earthquakes, floods. And each time you heard about it, you heard the news reporters say, it broke a record, didn't it? Breaking records. But no, did you think that America would be left and be unscathed? Oh no. Here came a Florida hurricane, or a hurricane to Florida. and just tore up everything in the southern part of Florida and on its way to South Carolina and about to do the same thing. But here is the sign that most of us probably didn't see. I was looking at TikTok and a guy was standing right on the shores of the Gulf of Mexico and the water was gone. Did you hear what I said? No water was in the Gulf of Mexico. He was showing his camera across the whole thing and the water was gone. I don't know if y'all heard me. Gone. And I don't remember the other places, but I was seeing in other places where there was a lake and the water was gone. There was a spring somewhere where the water was coming down a certain path and the water was gone. There were people walking out in that area and they don't know where the water went. Here's the thing about that. This is crazy, but watch this. This type of hurricane was collecting water. Took the water out the Gulf of Mexico, spin it all around, and dropped it off somewhere else. Does that sound like something that is controlled or haphazardly being done? You know how you can haphazardly do things, just, just no order to it or nothing like that. It's just oops kind of thing, No, somebody's controlling something here. What you think?
Yes, sir.
Huh? That's why I said sign of the times. Now, we already know about the abomination of desolation that David was told that when you see the sign of the abomination of desolation, run, he said. He said, if you're on the roof, stay up there. If you're in the valley, don't come out. Run. That's what he said. What was this desolate thing that was so abominable? It was inside of religion. All of the religious holy places of worship that millions come to every year was desolate. No one was in Mecca for Hajj in 2020. Huh? Ghost town. Kaaba sitting there by itself. And it was millions that would go to Hajj. Once a year, the Pope have all the Catholics in Vatican City outside and he appears in the window. Empty. The whole area. The Jews, their annual, whatever it is they do, empty. But let's come home. Right here in America, all the churches, empty. If you can't take what's going on when it comes to revelation and when it comes to prophecy and bring it up to date to show you where we are this time, then what the Bible asked not to happen will actually happen. He said this thing will come upon you unaware. And you won't know because he told you to watch and pray that you might be found worthy to escape. Now, before my time is up, I do have to do a little reading because I always prove what I say by the word, the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible. Now, this book, and I'm sure Brother T probably showed it, is the book that we're in this month as a prescribed reading. It's called Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, why do we continue to speak on what he teaches? It's not because we're saying we're Muslim. It's because we know when a man of God is sent among us to do a work, a unique work of lifting up a people who are hard-headed, stiff-necked, mule-like, hard to be led in the right direction, easy to be led in the wrong direction. We know that if a person is sent to us and they make an actual change, that he must be somebody. And so we look upon him as that, and we don't throw him away because he's a Muslim, no more than we would throw Marcus Garvey away because he's a Muslim, but they left something for us. They left a blueprint on how our people, the lost 13 tribe here in North America, can become a nation within a nation. Garvey left a blueprint. Elijah picked up on some of that blueprint. And now, today, who would take up the blueprint and create a nation from within the 13th tribe that will not, remember what I'm saying, will not be Muslim, Hebrew, Islamic, Catholic, or any religion, but just be a group of people who keeps God first, who recognizes a higher power, who recognizes that something else greater than us is working out something that we still don't understand. Tell me if you understand today where you actually came from. Closest you can get is you think you were separated. One part was in your dad, another part was in your mom, and they happened to look upon each other and met each other, and then they did what they had to do, and then 1,000,000 sperms shot up somewhere, and only one made it to the egg, and the name of that egg became Cheryl, Makita, well, y'all know y'all real name, Joshua, and all, y'all got the picture, right? That's all y'all could say. But my question was, where were you all at before they met? Where were you? Because I'm almost certain is where you were is where you're going back. Did y'all hear me? But do you know where you're going back to for real? Are you certain? You hear what all the religions say. Are you sure? I was at a funeral last week. Am I sure that he's somewhere? They say heaven. They say hell. They say it's a state of mind. So where is he then? Where is his mind? I can give you my version, but do I really know? I can give you my version. Everybody got their version. The only thing I'm certain of is that you are, right now, presently. I'm looking at all of you. But if I saw you later on laid down cold, is that the real you? Similar to going into a junkyard looking at all those old cars. Those cars don't live until somebody get behind the wheel. It even get a little life if you don't turn it on. You just sit back there and play with the thing and be jumping up and down. You making that little car live. Because you the spark plug to make that vehicle live. So now let's see what the Creator says dealing with his signs. And I'm hoping I can get this out. It's in Message to the Black Man, page 265. Now y'all check it out. Because he ain't playing. Honorable Elijah Muhammad ain't playing when he say what he says. We talking about the judgment. He says, there's no doubt in anyone's mind today that the condition of the nations is such that needs a ruler who is not involved in the present world of corruption to bring about peace and goodwill among the people of the earth. There cannot be peace for the lovers who seek after peace until the peace breakers have been removed from authority and their activities of mischief making, causing bloodshed, grief, sorrow, and trouble among peace-loving nations. What did it say? Did y'all hear the part that I'm talking about? It said it can't be peace for those who want peace until the peace breakers have been removed. Did it say arrested?
No, sir.
Did it say put in jail behind bars?
No, sir.
If I say I got a stain on my shirt, can you remove it? Do you just put something over it? It said removed. Well, let's find out who he's talking about. Because some of y'all, y'all get upset if I say it. Let's see what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. All right, 265. No doubt, that's the only way we're going to have peace. You got to remove the peace breakers. Says history, their history, who is they? We're going to get to it. Shows troublemaking. Y'all know who we're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Their history shows troublemaking. Look, what I was trying to tell you all is something I said to you all the very moment this so-called plague hit. I said if they were going to first, because they know they were going to war, look for people with DNA of the group of people that they were going to be fighting. They were going to look for you in more ways than one, through some sort of way of maybe with that thing they put in your nose or some kind of way they was going to look for you. Secondly, there was going to be a fleet of warrior planes outside of Earth's atmosphere. And if you all been studying and looking into the media, you all will see that that is exactly what was happening outside of Earth's atmosphere. And they sat there for a while in ships, watching Earth and watching stuff take place. Then I told you they were going to begin to show themselves, not in no cloud, not as a light, but actually you were going to see them. And right before you started seeing them, this government said, we got to release all our documentation of these so-called UFOs to the public. Why would they do that? Why would they want to release it now at this time? They want to be ahead of what's really going on so that they can paint the picture the way they want it to be. So they throw it out there and put out there what they want to put out there. Well, brothers and sisters, now they've come into our atmosphere. They're not waiting no longer. They thought that another group that was sent would actually do the job. What was the job? It was to first dismantle all the different branches of the military. And they started in Afghanistan. And they sent in the Marines, the Army, and 2 or 3 other, the Navy. And they didn't get totally wiped out like they were supposed to be. And so that group didn't do it. That was the first wave, brothers and sisters. I know y'all don't want to hear this. And now the second wave has arrived. And it is here. And they've touched down more than once already. And they are in the hurricanes. They are part of what they do when they go underwater and got these earthquakes hitting like they're hitting back to back, just like they do. And this government is scrambling and running. And everywhere there's a major earthquake and everywhere there's a major hurricane, you will see one of those planes. Did y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
You're going to see them. And we got something to do with it. That's why I'm telling you, when I say the black man is God, we mean it. And if you want to get the power that you're supposed to have as a God, you better eat the type of fuel that make God's God. I don't know if you're hearing me yet. You got to eat live food, not dead food, not carcasses. Live food, food of the gods, fruits, vegetables, seeds, things of the earth. And you got to try your best to get them as organic as you can. I saw a tomato, big tomato, with 1,000 little seeds in it. Not the big ones, the little seeds. I said, this is not a real tomato. I knew it wasn't. And being the God that I am, I know that it was food, all right, but it wasn't food for the original man. Did y'all hear what I said?
Yes, sir.
Wasn't food for the original man because that wasn't original food. Did you hear me? There's food for the mankind, though, the ones that's kind of a man that come from test tubes, the ones that's kind of a man that came from a clone. That's their food. Be careful, y'all. It's another group up here. And they want to get them well fed. And they want to test them out and test their gifts and whatever it is that they have because they want to turn them on you. Y'all see? See? Y'all thought I wasn't going to never say nothing about what's coming, did you? Well, it's coming. Again. You're on that other phase. But I've got to take you here to get you there so you can be prepared. They're here. It's going on. Them little tornadoes like fingers, just going all over like this, like they just scratching out something on a piece of paper. They know what they're doing. And I told you about compressed air. I told you how they separated the waters during the time of Moses, didn't I?
Yes, sir.
Well, now you're seeing that they can still do it, right? They took all the water out the Gulf of Mexico. They took all the water out the lake and took it and reverted it back and gonna drop it off either somewhere else or you gonna get food and they gonna dump it right back where it came from and you gonna drown because you walked all out there. They moved it out the way so some, and I'm gonna use this term real loosely, so some monsters can come up out of the sea and get away. So when the water come back, you got something you gonna see. But they were for us. Oh, it's going on. You wanted to know about Leviathan? You got it. Let me read. White man's history show troublemaking, murder, and death to all darker people from the far-off islands and the mainlands of Asia, as well as the South Seas and the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. So I hear some snoring. All have been touched by their destructive hand, talking about the white man, and their evil ways of civilization. And finally, the bringing of my people to make their destruction sure. Elijah Muhammad said, by them bringing our people over here under the transatlantic slave trade was like a suicide mission that they did, because that only pushed their destruction. He says, actually, it was suicide for them to have bought our fathers in slavery. This act was charged to them by the divine supreme being as being the most wicked people on the earth. Y'all say Taharka be so raw. Well, he wasn't raw. He just called white people the most wicked people on earth. He didn't say in Chicago. He said on earth, the most wicked people on earth. He said, now we see the results in the fight of the ignorant among our people. And you know our people are ignorant, aren't we? Because we want to gain sincere love from a people who have no sincere love among themselves. They've never practiced sincere love according to their own history of war making, robbery, murder, exploitation among themselves. I'm reading to you why our saviors have arrived to take them out. There's nothing else they can do. Nothing. We're still at the end time, and we're still at the time of the end. But we're just so closer now to the period. If you're catching what I'm saying. We're very much close. All right? And all we're doing is sitting around. And all we doing is talking about what's happening, and nobody wants the power because you don't want to make the sacrifice to receive the power. You don't want to fast. You don't want to eat right, but you want to walk and talk like you some God. Oh man. This whole thing is a sacrifice, y'all. They have never practiced sincere love according to their own history. This is clear to you who see and understand. The so-called Negro has been made blind, deaf, and dumb by them, that even the intellectual blacks now are blind and seek to make love and friendship with the people of the devil. Did y'all hear that? 270, page 270. Listen what it says. The white race is the created enemy of the darker people. Should I say that again?
Yes.
I just read this. The white race is the created enemy. The key word ain't even enemy. There it is. The created enemy of the darker people. The whole race, y'all. I know y'all, I got some white friends. Oh, I got some white friends that's around me and they're this and that and all. That's okay. You can have a lot of creative stuff in your room if you want to. It don't stop it from being your created enemy. No matter where you put them. If they created to do something, they're going to get your butt eventually. Didn't they show you that on AI with them robots? Everybody had them all nicely in their house. And as soon as they came in the room and saw their chest was red, they was dead. Y'all know I'm telling the truth, right? Y'all saw it.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't planned. Because they was created to get your behind. And you was all happy with them. They're fixing your food, your drink and everything, and fixing your toenails and all kinds of stuff. And you came back one day and went to the kitchen and they standing there with their chest red. That's the last thing you saw. Say they was who? Bipolar? Oh, they wasn't bipolar. I ain't gonna tell you what my mind said because it don't rhyme with nothing nice. Anyway, by no means are the so-called Negroes and the whites kin. I'm gonna read that again. By no means are the so-called Negroes and the whites K-I-N, kin, not E-N, I-N. All right? And if you're kin to something, it's to be related to by blood. See? And so when Yahshua said that we were all God's children of the Most High God, and then he said that we were heirs. Did y'all remember that?
Yes, sir.
He said we are heirs to the throne. Then he even made it even closer. He said, but not even just heirs, joint heirs to the throne. And so you got Queen Elizabeth. And do you think her grandson can be king? Do you think her cousin can be king? Do you think her nephew can be king? Do you think her niece could be king? I might as well go and bring it up to 2020. I mean, if the woman can be king, I guess. Did I mess that one up? Can Prince Charles say Queen Charles? I guess in 2020 he can. He said, y'all got me marked wrong here. I am not King Charles. Ever since my queen mother been up there, y'all just don't know what I've been into. I am Queen Charles. Woman King was my best movie, he said. See, the thing about that Woman King thing is this, y'all. Let me show you. This is part of the replacement theory. If y'all can't see it, I'm showing you. When you decide that you can look at, I'm talking about the white man's mind, that you can look at a queen that ran a country for almost 70 years under the title given to her for the feminine species, a queen. And now you talking about a woman who ain't satisfied with ruling, not saying she can't rule, but ain't satisfied with ruling as a queen. She wants to rule as a king. Why would you want to replace yourself and put yourself in a masculine title? Why? Queen Makita didn't say, okay, I'm here now, so I'm King Makita. King of Sheba. Matter of fact, Sheba probably was a man. Y'all don't understand what I'm saying, do you? Have y'all been looking at these futuristic movies? They got a principle in one of these things that I look at on Netflix, and his last name is Honey. A principal, a man. He's Principal Honey. I don't think I'm playing, don't you? There's a futuristic thing where a lady running a ship and she got a male name and her assistant is a male and his name is something like Sarah. Something like that. His name is Sarah. And the lady got a man name. And all throughout the whole thing, they calling each other, because you know when you in the military, you call them by their last name. And so you thinking, they say Sarah, and here come a guy step up. And then whatever her name is a man's name. They're taking names that were for certain genders, and they're actually, see, here's what you all are not looking at. They weren't interested in the movie, The Woman King. In the beginning was the word, not the people, but it's the word that has an effect on a person. And we said this years ago, repetition. If you continue to repeat it long enough, it becomes the real deal. How many times do you think that word woman king was repeated? You probably can't even say the number. As we speak now, it's being repeated. I just said it. You see what I mean? That's what they concerned with, the word. It's the word. The movie could be just the best movie in the world. But why would she want to replace a man? Y'all ain't hearing me. They done got to the second phase. At first it was y'all cool. Now they want to replace you. That means ain't no spot for you now, Mr. Man. Because we queen and king now. Ain't that deep? Y'all watch it. Now understand something. This is the white man's world. And this is the white man that's at war with his white woman. And always have been. Because he had a place for her and she said, no, I'm not going to stay in the place that you placed me in. Meanwhile, the black man and black woman were having those problems. We know they weren't having those problems. We were given those problems. Our women were asked to join the fight with them. Black male homosexuals, they weren't part of the fight of the white homosexuals. The white homosexuals are fighting corporate America. The black homosexual was trying to hide. It's still the truth. Am I lying?
No, sir.
They wasn't all out there flamboyant and everything. You would see one flamboyant black male homosexual per 10 blocks, if 10.
Proceed.
Now they got a day called Coming Out Day, and everybody will come out their house on the block with everything opposite of what represents them as who they are. I'll see it that way. That's the nice way. So y'all think that this is okay, right? Watch this. We all in this room gonna die. One day, right? And you got another generation under you going to die, right? And we got little babies 2 and 3 years old. Do you think all what I'm telling you was for you? Don't you see that this white man looks 20 and 30 years down the road? You heard me tell you all just last week that they was studying my family since 1966. Some of them who started the study is dead. How did they keep it going though? What is it they got that they can keep something going so long, but we lose out after about 2 or 3 years? Still studying us. As a child, all the way up. What child have they been studying now? That's why we got to come out of it. I'm going to read one more because I know my time is moving. It says the so-called Negro masses. Oh, I was talking about the whites' kin. God did not create them to ever become brothers. Did you hear that? One is created an enemy against the other. And since the righteous are more powerful than the wicked, God, the God of righteousness, set a time of reckoning for the evil, the white man, the enemy of the righteous. Y'all hear that? The so-called Negro masses must be warned of the grave mistake they make in following the leadership of those who love and befriend their murderers. Say that again. Warn our people of the grave mistake that they're making and following the leadership of those black people who love and befriend their murderers. This will not get them freedom or civil rights. 272. I think I did it all. That's it. I wanted you all to hear from on the back of this book. It says the most powerful black man in America. Now, I don't know how much time I got, but for the righteous, I'm going to read something. I'll give you the scriptures so that you can read the rest yourself. 2 Peter, y'all can write it down. Chapter 3, verse 8 to 15. The other one, Ephesians, chapter 5. The whole, from verse 1 to verse 15. No, verse 21. This is for the righteous. This is telling you that in these times and what's going on, this is what you got to do. This is how you must be. This is how you have to act. When they get ready to separate you, to destroy this beast, if your character fits the character of the white man, your head goes also. There has to be a distinct difference between the righteous and the unrighteous. There has to be a distinct difference between the believer and the disbeliever. That time, the closer they get in land and on shore, and the ground crew steps in, they follow the same pattern as the white man because he stole it from us. You start in the air first, and then you attack what they just attacked, the bridges, the airports. Oh, y'all ain't seeing it. Secondly is the ground crew. On the way. I told you about it. I've been knowing who they were. I'm going to leave it alone now. I have 1 minute. I'll read just 2 verses. Be ye therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in love as Christ also has loved us and has given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God. Fornication, all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becoming saints, neither filthiness nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving thanks. I'm going to stop there. It's telling you how to be. The sign of the times, y'all. But the time is almost up for us to get our act together. Because God, last thing I'm going to say, will replace us. I leave you as I greet you in the ancient but holy words of peace, in the languages of our fathers, of Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Gargani, Alafia, and Ashe. Peace, peace, Black Power.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Thank you so much for joining us for our weekly Sunday worship service here at T.O.M.A Nation, aka the Temple of Mercy Association. If you have enjoyed what you have been fed today by our ministers, Minister Taharka Shakur, and our leader, teacher, and guide, Minister Rahim Aton, feel free to support us with a monetary donation on Cash App at T.O.M.A Nation. Once again, that's T.O.M.A Nation. Please feel free to share this video with your family and friends. Also, you can join us each and every Sunday here live at our headquarters at 616 East 71st Street, right here in the Grand Crossing community. And I'm going to end as we usually end here. Repeat after me. Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Peace.
In the essence of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent.
How many men have children and the children never meet their father? See, you created a void in that child because you are a part of that child.
Black power! Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!